firstly, I ran out of mesorbs, which is the absorbent pads that you stick underneath this. So I am not getting any till tomorrow. So I just have to keep it covered with these 2B grids. So you can see a lot of a lot of granule. Oh God.
It seems like every single day there's something else online pushing the boundaries on the strange and disturbing, and included in these disturbing oddities is a man that begs you to use your septic tank as a place for meditation. Coined the Septic Tank Man, this dude will literally pay you for him to dive into your septic tank, and as he puts it, it's for, quote, spiritual pleasure. The internet will never disappoint you, especially if you're in the mood for some straight up strange content. Starting things off with the strange phenomenon of the Septic Tank Man, why he's doing this, and more importantly, the footage of him performing these, quote, rituals. Then the case of a highly disturbed individual who had the goal of becoming an amputee. Was this her true goal, or was there something on the outside influencing all of her decisions? Finally, we'll dive into the case of this man recording his findings in the Paris Catacombs, but ends up running away because he wasn't alone. So join me as we take a dive into some very strange and disturbing internet oddities. Hey everyone, my name is Wildman, and before we begin, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well as liking the video and commenting bruh, because all of these things do help me out a lot. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Thank you. So starting things off right away, we're going to be diving into the Septic Tank Man, which honestly has to be one of the most unhinged things that I've seen on the internet. It's an incredibly fascinating phenomenon, if we were to put it that way, as I feel like this may be one of the only people documented engaging in this sort of behavior. We'll talk a little bit more about the reasons of why he's doing this and the potential fetishization of these kinds of acts in a second, but first I want to talk about the actual act themselves. So this entire thing does originate from a Craigslist post. This was posted about 5 or 6 years ago, although the exact timeline is unknown. The post reads, "I pay to enter your septic tank for an hour at a time. $150, Jacksonville, Alabama. Some might judge me for this, but it's what I enjoy. I will pay you $150 an hour to bring my equipment in and gain access to your septic tank. I then have my associate close the tank after I have set my tripod and camera up. Believe it or not, it's a great place to reflect." This entire thing is incredibly strange, and I feel like it doesn't help that he's a low-key kind of dressed like the Riddler, but it does make sense that he is taking precautions to not get in, certain parts of his body, potentially getting them in any wounds or minor cuts that he may have, which would lead to a pretty gnarly infection. But something to note about his getup is that there are holes that are not covered, which include his eyes, and neither are his main 2 orifices on his face, which include his nostrils and his mouth. They're just completely left wide open for him to engage in this behavior. But what is strange is that his ears are actually sealed off, so it's kind of strange that his nostrils and mouth are the only things that are open. He's not even wearing goggles or any sort of headgear whatsoever. It's also pretty interesting that he does have an assistant that goes along on these missions with him and does act as the person opening and shutting the door, leaving him trapped inside. And as for the equipment that he brings, this is most likely a waterproof camera along with the tripod, and potentially any other devices that he may use while he's inside of there to, fancy himself. And it's pretty clear at this point that this is a scat fetish. And if you are unfamiliar as to what that fetish is, it's pretty self-explanatory, especially given the context of this entire situation. However, if you are interested, I'd recommend looking it up, but I'm not sure. I don't think I can explain it here. But pretty much it is enjoying this type of behavior, interacting with this kind of in a pleasurable way. But to even follow up, there is actual footage of this man engaging and sitting in the septic tanks. These videos, of course, were re-uploaded online as the originals have been taken down. So we are going to kind of go through this video, but if you do want to skip it, I'll have a timestamp right here because the footage is honestly pretty hard to watch. So if you want to skip it, completely fine. I will describe it afterwards. This is kind of like shoving in and out of, you know, the hole that directs, you know, the actual toilet to the septic tank. It's like the pipe that filters everything inside of there. But yeah, this video goes on for about 2.5 minutes. I don't think we need to watch the entire thing because it's pretty much the entire thing. He's kind of just gooning the whole time in there. So the video starts off pretty strange on its own because when he gets in there, he doesn't even have gloves on, but for some reason decides to put them on while he's, you know, already been in there and his hands have already been covered with the stuff in there. He doesn't really do much while he's in there except for kind of just frothing around in the feces. That is until he completely submerges himself under the liquid, then proceeds to lather himself with the substance surrounding him. And the craziest part is that he's even getting some of it in his eyes, nostrils, and mouth. We can see him wiping the feces from his mouth and eyes. And toward the end of the video, he really gets into it and begins moving around the entire tank. Now there is a lot of speculation when it comes to this video, more so about who this person is and why they're doing this. However, the most popular assumption as to the reason why he's doing this is that this person, of course, does have a scat fetish. I'm also under the impression that this is a mix of a latex fetish as well, given the suit that he's wearing, which kind of resembles, you know, the Riddler. The suit he's wearing isn't really being used to protect him from the hazardous substances that he's swimming in, but more so to enhance the entire experience. Not much else is known about this individual, but there's also people who are betting on Reddit that this person is extremely wealthy, and this kind of being a reason to dive into such a specific kind of pastime, paying people to swim inside of their septic tank while their assistant closes the door, thus locking them inside. A few of the comments on Reddit say, "I wonder what this guy does to have the spare cash to pay $150 an hour to sit in your septic tank, as well as hire an associate to come with him and close the tank up for him. I'm feeling something suspicious going on here. Honestly, I see nothing wrong with this. If I'm getting paid to let him sit in my septic tank, why the F wouldn't I let him in?" There's also people claiming this is fake. Dang, this photo must be making its rounds again on Facebook. Came here after seeing it on there. This is in my town. Damn. I mean, invite him over. See what happens. Hey everyone, Editor Wowman here, and real quick, we are going to roll into a sponsor real quick because I do need to pay my bills, but then we'll get straight back into the video. So today's sponsor is 5CBD. 5CBD is a 21 plus gummy that is perfect for catching a buzz without feeling bad about it. Whether I need a burst of energy with Surge, a balanced vibe with Vibes, or to unwind with Chill, these gummies have me covered without any unwanted side effects. And there are concerns about the quality and safety of mood-enhancing products available on the market, so to combat this, 5CBD offers top quality with third-party testing. These high-potency gummies are safe, reliable, and incredibly effective. Many products taste unpleasant or have this lingering aftertaste. Not only do these gummies work great, but they also taste fantastic.
Say that again?
It's fantastic.
It's like having a delicious treat that also boosts my mood. High costs are typically associated with premium mood-enhancing products, so for the quality and effectiveness, these gummies are really affordable. It's a great value for such a high-quality product. 5CBD's customer service is also really good, and my orders always arrive extremely quickly. Plus, having them shipped right to my door is super convenient. So use my link in the description to get a free sample pack from 5. Just pay shipping. Must be 21 plus.
Hey guys, Firstly, I ran out of mesorbs, which is the absorbent pads that you stick underneath this, so I'm not getting any till tomorrow, so I just have to keep it covered with these.
Alright, so this next internet oddity is on Kelly Ronahan. You may be familiar with this case, as I know a lot of other people have covered the topic, but this one is just incredibly disturbing, as it follows this woman's quest to become an amputee. She goes on all sorts of extents to ensure that her goal is met, and her desires only became fueled when she began garnering attention online. The story starts off with Kelly Ronahan, who suffered from a disorder she imposed on herself, a disorder called Munchausen syndrome, which is a mental health condition characterized by the intentional fabrication of exaggeration of physical or psychological symptoms to gain attention, sympathy, or medical care. And while her goal at the beginning wasn't to lose both of her legs, she started things off by bleeding herself in order to tell medical professionals that she was in need of blood transfusions. She had a total of 70 blood transfusions and had no intention of stopping, continuing the cycle of bleeding to make it look like she needed the transfusions, but eventually it became too much to continue this lie, and she moved to another, quote, medical issue. Kelly Ronahan would begin picking at her legs, putting clothes on them, and rubbing pretty much anything that she could to cause an infection onto her legs. And eventually all of these efforts led to the medical attention she so desired, as she was soon diagnosed with Behçet's syndrome. But people eventually began to catch on to her lie, as it became pretty weird that she was just randomly getting all of these infections, especially since she was claiming that she wasn't tampering with her whatsoever, claiming that these infections just started on their own and she had no part in it. But eventually things got so bad that she needed a muscle transplant and skin grafts to cover up the holes in her lower left leg. And for those of you unfamiliar with what a graft site is, it's pretty much when they take a healthy part of your skin from another part of your body and place it on the part of your body that needs skin. And while she was recovering in the hospital, her legs began to heal perfectly, as she wasn't able to tamper with the injuries without being caught, and thus her lie would come crumbling down. But days after she was discharged, after receiving all of this medical treatment for the wounds she herself was inflicting on herself to pose as having a medical condition that needed treatment, Kelly would begin picking at her wounds once again, this time way more intensely than before. First, she would begin by picking at the skin where she had the graft donor site, and then the grafted area, then to the rest of her legs.
Hey guys, firstly, I ran out of mesorbs, which is the absorbent pads that you stick underneath this, so I'm not getting any till tomorrow, so I just have to keep it covered with these 2B grids. So you can see a lot of a lot of granulation there, which is the redness. And then this tendon is, the skin is coming over it, which is great. It's healing like really well. This one is still covered by the hard tissue, the necrotic stuff. This side, same thing.
And after all of this irritation to a still healing wound, she ended up messing with it so much that she nearly died from sepsis and had to have an emergency double above the knee amputation. There hasn't been much heard from Kelly online since her surgery, as before she was pretty active online. She was posting her progress photos of her picking at her legs, but after the amputation she just went completely silent. And it seems that Kelly herself may have finally realized the true damage she had been causing herself with that final surgery. There's also a lot of opinions online when it comes to the case, like people straight up hating on Kelly and blaming her for all of her own actions. But honestly, the entire thing is truly heartbreaking, because her irritating her skin could have also just been a heavy case of dermatomania, which is a health condition where a person compulsively picks or scratches at their skin, causing injuries or scarring, and a combination of Munchausen. Regardless, it's a very sad story of a woman whose illness took her legs. Now, I was unable to find the source from this, but I do remember a while back hearing about this case, and I'm pretty sure Kelly also received a lot of encouragement online when it came to picking at her skin and causing these horrible infections, which ended up, making her lose her legs. She ended up on these forums where people were kind of just telling her back and forth that she needs to keep doing this and it's entertaining for others to watch this. And Kelly was desperately in need of this attention, and so she continued to do so. These people were advocating to see more photos of the progress of the infections she was causing herself. So that could have been a part of it as well, given the validation she was receiving online from performing these actions on her body.
And all of a sudden, this video camera.
Alright, so for this final oddity, it is about a man exploring the Paris catacombs who mysteriously drops his camera and suddenly just vanishes after that, never to be seen again. Now, the Paris catacombs are extremely terrifying just on their own, as they are home to the remains of around 6 million people. The catacombs are extremely deep underground. The tunnels are often these cramped, dark spaces where no light can enter, which often gives people visiting this claustrophobic feeling, and combined with the pitch black darkness, makes people incredibly unnerved. And while the catacombs are tourable if you are in Paris, the catacombs extend much further, leading to many tunnels that are still off limits, which has led to the plethora of cataphiles, divers who go into the tunnels illegally, exploring these forbidden sections of the catacombs. However, it is incredibly dangerous, as there is nothing stopping these ruins from collapsing in on themselves. And on top of that, there won't be anyone to help you get out if you do end up getting lost. And given the catacombs stretch over 400 miles beneath the city, it's incredibly easy to spend a tremendous amount of time down there if you so please. Of course, at the risk of being charged for illegally entering them. And if you guys haven't seen the movie As Above, So Below, that movie really encapsulates how terrifying the tunnels really are. Albeit the movie is a work of fiction, it's still enough to terrify you of the tunnels that lie below the streets of Paris. However, none of this has been enough to deter people from exploring the tunnels, from venturing into the dark and forbidden land below. Because deep in the Paris catacombs, a video camera was recorded by explorers, and the recording it held is chilling. It may very well be that of a man videotaping his own slow death.
Human bones.
Now, it's unclear the authenticity of this video, as there is no original clip available. The only thing that can be found regarding this man who disappeared into the catacombs is from this mini documentary. In the documentary, this crew brings it upon themselves to discover the mystery of this footage, and more importantly, where the man in the video ended up, if they can find him, or at least recover the body. Within the documentary, they start off by meeting the director of the Catacomb Museum, who allows them to look at a few maps of the catacombs and says that there are some that go as deep as 300 feet underground, some tunnels with water in them, and they believe that there are at least 6 levels down there, perhaps even more. After getting this information, the crew ends up meeting with a cataphile's guide who will guide them into the catacombs, although the city keeps shutting the entrances down. so they will have to venture outside of the city through some train tracks to find one of the few remaining entrances, and eventually the crew are able to find themselves inside. But after hours of making their way deeper into the tunnels, their cataphile guide eventually stops them and says that this is far too deep for any amateur explorer to make their way inside, suggesting that there isn't much of a point of continuing the search, following up by saying he probably fell down one of the tunnels after being lost and died from the impact. And after 6 hours of searching, the group is exhausted and running low on batteries. Francis decides to abandon the search. And eventually the group does stumble upon a ladder, which leads to potentially a manhole cover above. However, despite their efforts to lift the cover, it's no use, because they soon figure that this cover has been welded shut to prevent people from venturing into the catacombs. And ironically, it's the same cover that is preventing people from escaping.
To be open, to get out, but apparently it's locked or Lizard's having a difficult time. Open it up. You're gonna have to backtrack and walk back the 5 or 6 miles to be coming here. That would be hours and hours and hours.
And so the crew has to make the 6-hour journey back to the entrance they came from. However, on their way back to the entrance, they end up stumbling upon a pile of bones that they didn't pass on their way inside. The cataphile reassures the crew that this is simply because they took a shortcut and are in no way lost. But the look on Francis's face says it all, as he stares at the thousands of bones that seem to have no end. And in his observations, he thinks about the man who was lost down here and states that many people believe that the entrance to hell is hidden inside of the catacombs, and that perhaps the man from the video found it.
It looks like the killing fields. According to Lizard, if you search through these catacombs, you could find the gate to hell. Perhaps this person found it by accident. This is the gate to hell.
The video ends on an incredibly bleak note, with Francis noting how disappointing it is that they weren't even able to find a trace of the man from the video. Francis also mentions that he's disappointed in himself for his failed efforts and for dragging his friends into this mess, as they made it out of the tunnels after being down there for 12 hours total, chasing a ghost. But yeah, that pretty much does it. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment bruh, as that helps me out a lot. And I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my beautiful channel members, as well as my ultimate tiers, Karimi Adriano and Alejandra from the Tower. If you want early access to videos, as well as your name right here, it's only $1.99. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. Good night. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.